Hi.
Good to see you. Firstly, before the Everton game, you spoke a little bit about Lauren's injury, having the scan. Just how has that scan gone for her?
Yeah, so she has an ankle injury and she's out for a couple of weeks.
What was her mood? Have you spoken to her? How is she doing after the news? Because obviously at Spurs it was probably quite early and quite a lot to take in at that moment.
Yeah, of course it's a tough situation for her. She wants to play, and we want her to play. She wants to contribute to the team, but injuries happen, and she is doing everything she can to get back as quickly as possible. And she needs to support the team in another way. And I think she will manage that in a good way, and hopefully she will be back soon.
And looking ahead to Sunday, what about the fitness of the rest of the squad? What shape are you in going into Sunday?
Yeah, I think I've said it before. I think winning games builds confidence, and also how we approached the game against Everton and how we managed the squad was very important. And all players that is in our squad today has got minutes in the first weeks of the tournament that we play in, and that is extremely important for a group. Everybody has a clear role. They contribute to the team's performance on and off the field, and that gives us a good team atmosphere and feeling, and confidence also for coming into the coming games.
As you've spoken about there, every player who's been involved has played minutes. So when there are injuries to key players and members of the squad, how much of a boost is that, knowing that you've got the players and the strength in depth to maybe fill those voids of players who aren't available?
Yeah, it's crucial, and it's giving me, and I felt it since I started, that it's not that we have a couple of superstars and good players. I think the squad is built in a very good way. So all players that we have in the squad is able to play games in WSL. And I think that is a good feeling as a coach to have that. If a player is injured, which happens, we have players that can fill up the gap, and maybe not exactly the same way, but in their way, and keeping the same level of the team. So that, of course, that's a very good feeling for me.
And on the likes of Sydney, Rebecca, obviously we know about Lily as well. Just how are they doing in their recovery processes at the moment?
Yeah, both of them are back in team training, and let's see how it is tomorrow, but they are back on the field.
Just wanted to ask you about the progress of Laura Blinkkeeler-Brown. I think we spoke after the Brighton game about how she's progressed and playing in that midfield role. How have you assessed that? Because she's almost making that position her own at the moment.
Yeah, it's fantastic to follow young players like her that is getting an opportunity to play and really taking the chance. I think she was one of those that was here very early also in pre-season, and that's also an effect for her. I think she has been training very well, adapting to how we would like to play with her. We have had some things that we want to improve, and she's really been working on doing those things. And maybe the most important thing, that she's playing with confidence, and she's doing things that she's good at. She's not doing things that make the game more complicated. She's doing those things, and that is important for her to do, because that's why she's playing, and not trying to be somebody else, just being Laura on the field. So yeah, I'm happy for her, and of course it gives me and the team a lot of other opportunity also when players are taking the chances when they're getting them.
And she's played alongside Yui in that almost midfield too. Just on the strength of that partnership, is that almost kind of an example of these relationships building in the football of your vision as well, that we've spoken about before, about building together as a team? Is that an example of those two in midfield?
Yeah, I think it is. I think I talk a lot about confidence as a team, but I also talk about relationships, because no matter what, we can have all tactics we want as coaches, but the most important thing is that players learn to play with each other. And now these two, they have been playing a couple of games together. Both of them are very dynamic. They like to move a lot, and they are good in different areas. So they need to learn to adapt to each other. So I think that has been growing also their relationship. And of course, if Sydney's playing there or Laura Coombs is playing, it gives you something else. And I think that's also a strength for us to be able to play with different kind of players, but they need to grow into how do they make the best out of themselves, but also making the other player as good as possible.
And of course, London City Lionesses on Sunday, after their first two games of defeats, they've bounced back, a win in the league and a win in the cup. Obviously, they signed a lot of players in the summer. It looks like they're starting to gel now. So will they come here with confidence, with that extra boost? What are you sort of anticipating from them now after their two wins they've had?
Yeah, I think so. Of course, they needed also time in the beginning, a lot of new players. So I think the individual skill is definitely there in the team. So I think definitely they are coming with a confidence here. But we are also aware that it's difficult to come to play on our stadium, and that we are a great team here at home. So I think it's important for us in the beginning of the game to really show that, yes, we have extremely big respect for all opponents, and they are one of them. But I think we are a better team. So if we are managing that in a good way, I think hopefully it can be a good result and performance for us.
And just finally for me, 2 home games so far this season, in one in the league and one in the cup, both wins. How crucial will home form be, do you think, throughout the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think we would like to win all games, both home and away, but the home stadium has to create a feeling of this is where we can be ourselves. This is where we feel comfortable with the grass, with the stadium, with the spectators and an audience and all those. So it's important to have coming with the shoulders down and just feeling, wow, we can express ourselves in this surrounding. So of course it's good and important.
Thank you for your time. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. We'll go to Zoom now. We'll start with Tom.
Thanks, Chidi, and hi, Andree. Thanks for your time. Please, could I just ask a question about Iman Beney? I think she got another assist in midweek and just seems to have settled in really well from the outside. I'm wondering what your experience is and how impressed you've been with her time at Man City so far.
Yeah, I knew she was a big talent. I watched her in Euro, and but by working with her here, this first 2 months has been it's been great. I think she's a young player. We are still, I'm not saying testing, but we're using her in different roles, and I think no matter where we put her, she's playing her game. She's not, a little bit like I said about Laura also, but she's doing what she's good at. She's not trying to do other things, and she's extremely good in adapting to the different positions. So, but we also need to be aware that young players that is doing their first year in this tough league will have ups and downs. So that is an important part for her also to understand that one game will be fantastic, and then maybe next game will be a little bit more in another direction. It will be up and down, but so far she's learning all the time. She's eager to learn, and it's easy to put her on the field because we know what we're getting all the time.
Thank you. And just looking at the next kind of month or so, I wonder, are you the kind of coach who compartmentalises the fixtures into these kind of blocks of games in the run-up to like an international break? And if so, with the 3 league games you've got left before the international break, where would you like to be when the international break comes around?
No, I'm not that kind of coach. I think it's very difficult for me, but also for us to look more than one, maximum 2 games ahead, because when you are in this club, each game is about winning, and everything is about finding ways to win. And if we start thinking what's going to happen next weekend or the weekend after, I think we might lose ourselves in the presence of what do we need to do now. So with that said, I think that when the international break is coming, we'll see where we're at. I think we are growing from game to game, and I hope that when we come to the international break that we are better than we are today, that we are more stable in the game, so it's not a back and forward as much as been in some of the last games. But I also think that we are continuing creating as many chances as we have, and of course has won all the games until the international break.
Thank you very much for your time. Good luck at the weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. We'll go to Gethin next.
Hi. Just picking up on a couple things that I've noticed from what you've changed within the team. So first of all, Yui Hasegawa being maybe involved in the attack and further up the pitch a little bit more, and also Bunny Shaw dropping into areas to pick up the ball more and maybe going wide and stuff, and kind of being more of a playmaker. Is that two things that have been a deliberate thing for you that you've looked to brought in?
I think for Yui's part, it's a football player that you would like to have the ball as much as possible, because that's beneficial for our team if she's on the ball. And that's why I think it's important to have her both in the build-up but also in the final. So definitely that is a part that we think is that we have been working with, and also the relationship to other players a little bit higher up. But at the same time also giving her the freedom of finding the right spaces, because she's extremely good in let's say exploring where there is space to find. So I'm happy for her in finding that. It takes some time, but at the same time I still think she's performing meanwhile, and she's getting better and better from game to game, I think. And about Bunny, he's not I think it's for her, she's a player that she's absolutely one of the best in the penalty box. Definitely she's one of the best finisher, and but I also think that there is parts in a game that we can have beneficial also in central combination, using her in some parts of the build-up to be a little bit more unpredictable. So I think it's more of involving her in the game, and not just only in the final third.
Okay, thank you. And then on Alex Greenwood, obviously, traditionally, she would be played as a centre-back most of the time. Obviously, she was at left-back during the Euros. Do you have a preference as to which one you prefer? Because we've obviously seen her in both positions in your first few games. But is there a preference between where you would rather play her, or is it more of like whether you're going to play Leila Wahabi on the left or Jade Rose in the middle, and then is it more that defines where she goes?
I think for Alex is a centre back in my eyes, definitely, and that's where she's the best. That's her best position. But I also think for all players on this level, they need to be able to play in more than one position. And sometimes we need Alex as a left back for different reasons. And it's important that she's able to play in that position also. But I think it's important that she knows also that she's a centre back, and that is where we see her. But she's also aware that sometimes we use her as a left, because that's giving us something extra in the defending part, maybe, and then also with her left foot, it's giving us something extra. So, yeah.
And then kind of just finally from me, obviously last season, Man City's, year was kind of derailed by a lot of injuries, and it's not been a great start in terms of Alba Fagino and Carolyn, Lauren Hemp, and Lee Murphy. Like, they're all injured already, and obviously Knack and Fowler were already coming into the season. Lohman's been injured. Kind of, can you give confidence to the fans that this isn't a club issue, and that not every season is going to be like how last season was, and how this season is starting out a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. I think that we all in our club is doing everything we can to keep the players on the field, but at the same time we are also growing, which means that we are trying to prepare the team for the future of how can we train more, how can we have more intensity in the training session, how can we make each player a little bit better. And that is always about pushing the boundaries a little bit, but at the same time, of course, not to create injuries, but how we are playing is demanding quite much from the players. Injuries will always come. I think it's also depending on what kind of injuries you're getting, and what also to analyze where they're coming from. But right now I have fully trust in how we are training, how we are building the structure in the field and off the field with training load and the performance part. So I think we are doing a good job on that. But of course, every time when you get an injury, you analyze it and see what could we have done different. But right now, I think we are doing a good job, even though that some injuries are coming. But I think that it's been situations where it's been difficult to do anything about it.
Okay, thank you. Good luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gethin. Any more questions? Thanks very much, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.